Ready for some ancient history?
Always.
Okay, good. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into the 10 plagues of Egypt.
Oh, wow.
From the book of Exodus.
Yeah.
Which is...
second book of the Bible.
Right. The second book of the Bible.
For those
who might not be familiar.
Yeah, who might not be familiar.
And it recounts the Israelite journey.
From
slavery to freedom.
To freedom, right.
And we're going to be using this dramatic retelling from the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Spiritual Journey.
Okay.
As a springboard for a discussion.
Yeah, it's a story that's captivated people for centuries.
It really has. And we're going to break down each plague.
Okay.
See how they escalate. And explore why this story continues to resonate even thousands of years later.
Yeah.
So, first up, we have the Nile River transforming into blood.
Oh, wow.
The video paints a pretty gruesome picture. Thick, red water, dead fish.
Yeah.
Egyptians frantically digging for clean water.
Imagine the impact this would have had on the Egyptians.
Right.
I mean, their primary water source.
I know.
Essential for drinking, irrigation.
Yeah.
Religious rituals. Suddenly becomes unusable.
Totally.
Beyond the practical implications, though.
Yeah.
You have to consider the symbolic attack on the Egyptian god of the Nile, Hapi.
Oh, interesting.
This plague is a direct challenge to Pharaoh's authority.
Okay.
Both earthly and divine.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not just about the physical hardship. It's about undermining the entire Egyptian power structure.
Exactly.
And if you think that's bad,
okay,
get ready for the plague of frogs.
Oh, no.
The video shows them absolutely everywhere. Houses, beds, ovens.
Oh, my goodness.
You name it. What could have caused such a bizarre phenomenon?
Well, some scientists suggest an environmental shift.
Okay.
Like flooding. Might have driven the frogs inland.
Interesting.
But regardless of the cause, the story uses this plague to further demonstrate God's power over the natural world.
Okay.
It's also interesting to note
that
the frog was a symbol of fertility in ancient Egypt. So this plague, therefore, might be seen as a symbolic attack on their ability to thrive and multiply.
So the Nile's ruined, you're up to your knees in frogs. Things are going from bad to worse. And then bam, lice.
Oh, gross.
The video describes people and animals.
Yeah.
Covered in lice. Constantly itching and miserable.
Oh. So what's the takeaway here?
Well, these first 3 plagues, they target the foundations of Egyptian life, water, land, and now personal hygiene.
Yeah, this plague hits them where it hurts.
Yeah.
Invading their homes and bodies, making daily life unbearable. It's a relentless assault that shows the escalating severity of the situation.
And you'd think Pharaoh would be ready to give in at this point.
Oh, but not a chance.
No.
The video emphasizes. Right. Pharaoh's stubborn refusal to acknowledge the power of God.
Yeah.
Even as his people suffer.
Yeah.
His heart remains hardened.
Okay, so we've got blood, frogs, lice.
Oh, my.
What could possibly come next?
Well, brace yourself.
Oh, no.
For swarms of flies. Imagine the sky. Blackened with flies.
Oh, wow.
Making it impossible to go about daily life.
Yeah.
It would have been chaotic.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
Oh. This one seems designed to really disrupt their daily lives.
Yeah.
Did it have any lasting impacts?
Think about it.
Okay.
Swarms of flies can carry diseases.
Right.
And contaminate food.
Oh, yeah.
Further weakening the Egyptians.
Okay.
So not only is it a nuisance,
yeah,
but it also poses a serious threat to their health and well-being.
It's like each plague builds on the previous one, making life increasingly difficult for the Egyptians. But Pharaoh still doesn't budge?
Nope.
No?
He clings to his power. Even as his people suffer.
Okay.
Then we come to a truly devastating blow.
What's that?
Disease strikes livestock.
Oh, no.
Picture dead cattle, sheep, and other animals.
Oh, wow.
This plague hits the Egyptians' economy.
Okay.
And their food supply.
That's a major blow.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about the power dynamics at play here?
Well, Pharaoh
yeah,
was seen as responsible for the prosperity of his people.
Oh, okay.
This plague directly challenges his ability to protect them.
Wow.
It's another crack in his authority.
Right.
But the story makes it clear.
What's that?
Pharaoh's heart is still unyielding.
So contaminated water.
Yeah.
ruined crops.
Right.
Dead animals.
Uh-huh.
Things are looking pretty grim.
They are.
And then it gets personal.
Oh.
The 6th plague brings painful boils.
Oh.
Afflicting both people and animals.
Oh, wow.
The video describes them as festering sores.
Oh, that's awful.
Making even the simplest tasks excruciating.
What was the likely cause of this plague?
Well, some scholars suggest it could have been an actual disease outbreak.
Okay.
Perhaps smallpox or anthrax.
Interesting.
But regardless of the scientific explanation,
right.
It's the symbolism that's truly significant.
Yeah.
This plague directly targets human suffering.
Right.
It's unavoidable, undeniable, and shows the breadth of God's power.
Wow.
It's no longer just about disrupting their lives or challenging their gods. It's about inflicting direct pain and suffering.
Yeah.
How do you think the Egyptians would have interpreted this escalation?
Imagine living through these plagues one after another, each more terrifying than the last.
Right.
You'd probably be questioning everything you thought you knew about the world.
Totally.
About your gods.
Yeah.
About your leader.
I mean, yet.
And yet, the story tells us
what?
Pharaoh remained defiant.
Really? Okay, so far we've had blood, frogs, lice, flies, diseased animals, and painful boils.
Uh-huh.
What could possibly top that?
Well, get ready.
Oh, no.
Because the plagues are about to get even more dramatic.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It's almost like each plague is a step up, raising the stakes higher and higher. And next comes a furious hailstorm.
Oh, wow.
The video describes it as like fire raining down from the sky.
Oh, my God.
Destroying crops and even killing people and animals.
Right.
Caught out in the open.
So what's the significance of this particular plague?
That's a great question, I think.
Well,
this plague is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it targets the Egyptian goddess Nut.
Okay.
Who was believed to protect the sky.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like a direct assault on their belief system, showing that even their gods
are powerless against the God of the Israelites.
Yeah.
Plus the hail mixed with fire.
Right.
Really kind of evokes images of divine judgment and wrath.
It's a display of power that goes beyond the physical destruction.
Totally.
It's a symbolic challenge to the entire Egyptian worldview.
And just when you think things can't get any worse, the 8th plague hits.
What's that?
Locusts.
Oh, no.
The video shows them devouring every single green thing
oh my goodness.
left in Egypt, wiping out any chance of recovering from the previous plagues.
So how devastating would this have been for the Egyptians?
Well, locust swarms are notorious for their destructive power.
Right.
Capable of stripping fields bare in a matter of hours.
Wow.
So this plague would have been a catastrophic blow to Egyptian agriculture and morale.
It would have felt like the final nail in the coffin.
Totally.
Pushing them to the brink of total collapse.
You're right. Yeah. It's relentless.
It is.
Plague after plague, each one pushing the Egyptians closer and closer to that breaking point.
To the breaking point.
But even after 8 plagues, Pharaoh refuses to yield.
Wow.
It seems almost unbelievable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it might seem that way.
Yeah.
But remember, this story is about more than just historical events.
Right.
It's about the struggle between human will and divine power.
Right.
Pharaoh's hardened heart represents human arrogance and the refusal to acknowledge a power greater than oneself.
So we've got contaminated water, ruined crops, diseased livestock, a devastated landscape, and now a complete lack of food.
What else could possibly be left?
The 9th plague is one of the most terrifying 3 days of total darkness.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a darkness so thick you could feel it. A darkness that paralyzes the entire nation.
What do you think this darkness symbolizes?
It's a powerful image.
It is.
I think it represents kind of spiritual darkness.
Okay.
A loss of hope and understanding.
It forces the Egyptians to confront their own mortality and the fragility of their world.
It's a taste of what's to come.
Exactly. And that brings us to the 10th and final plague.
And what is that?
The death of the firstborn.
Oh, wow.
The video portrays the anguish of families across Egypt as their firstborn children.
Yeah.
Even their livestock's firstborn.
Wow.
Die suddenly.
How do you think this final plague would have impacted the Egyptians?
It's hard to even imagine. Right. The grief and despair they must have felt this plague is the culmination of everything that came before, the ultimate display of divine power.
It's the breaking point.
To hold us.
Not just for Pharaoh.
Yeah.
But for the entire nation.
This is the plague that finally forces Pharaoh to relent.
He does.
The loss of life is too great.
Right.
The suffering too profound.
He allows the Israelites to leave Egypt, leading them out of slavery and into a new future.
And this event, the Exodus, becomes a foundational story.
It does.
For the Israelites. It's their declaration of independence, their origin story.
It's about more than just leaving Egypt. It's about finding their own identity and forging a new path.
But before we talk about the Exodus, let's delve into the institution of Passover. Okay.
Which emerged directly from these events.
The Passover adds another layer of meaning to the story, emphasizing themes of protection, sacrifice, and redemption.
It's a story within a story.
It is.
Crucial to understanding the full impact of the Exodus.
So let's unpack this a bit.
Okay.
In Exodus 12, we see the Israelites being instructed to sacrifice a lamb. And mark their doorways with its blood.
I'm curious, what's the significance of this ritual?
The blood on the doorposts acts as a sign for the angel of death, who is carrying out God's final plague to pass over those houses.
So it's like
it's a marker of protection, a way to differentiate between the Israelites and the Egyptians.
And this act of sacrifice of offering a lamb to ensure their safety becomes deeply ingrained in Jewish tradition.
It speaks to themes of obedience, faith, and the sanctity of life.
It's a powerful image.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine the darkness of the 9th plague. The anticipation of the 10th. And then this desperate act of faith. Hoping that the blood will be enough to spare them.
How would you describe the atmosphere during this time?
Well, I think it would have been a time of unimaginable tension and fear. You have the Egyptians facing their own mortality and the Israelites clinging to this promise of protection, this covenant with God.
The pivotal moment, both literally and symbolically.
And from this moment of terror, of faith, the Passover is born, becoming a cornerstone of Jewish faith, commemorating their liberation and God's protection. So the Passover ritual emerges from this terrifying climactic moment in the plague narrative. It's a way to remember to give thanks and to reaffirm their covenant with God.
But it's not just about looking back. It's about carrying those lessons forward.
Exactly. The Passover feast with its symbolic foods, like unleavened bread and bitter herbs, becomes a way to retell the story, to pass down the memory of their deliverance to future generations. It's a way to keep the story alive, to remind themselves of where they came from and what they overcame.
And finally, after 10 plagues, Pharaoh relents. The Israelites, carrying their unleavened dough and borrowed treasures, are allowed to leave Egypt.
They are.
The video really highlights this detail of the spoiling of the Egyptians. Why do you think this is included in the story?
It's a fascinating detail.
It is.
That has been interpreted in various ways. Some see it as a form of compensation for their years of forced labor.
I see.
Others view it as a symbolic stripping of the Egyptians' power and wealth.
But regardless of the interpretation, it adds another layer of complexity.
It does.
So
the narrative. It definitely does.
The Israelites aren't just passively escaping. They're actively asserting their newfound freedom.
How could they?
They're taking what's rightfully theirs, reclaiming their dignity and their worth.
And this act of defiance.
Right.
This spoiling of their oppressors becomes part of their liberation story.
Right.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The dramatic plagues, the institution of Passover, the Exodus itself. It's a story full of twists and turns, hardship, and ultimately liberation.
But what makes this story so compelling, even thousands of years later?
I think it's the universality of its themes.
Right.
We see echoes of the Exodus story in struggles for freedom and justice throughout history, the fight against oppression, the quest for liberation, the triumph of faith over doubt.
It makes you wonder. It also strikes me that there's something incredibly powerful about the underdog narrative. You have the Israelites, enslaved and oppressed, rising up against a mighty empire. It's a story of hope, of resilience, of the belief that even in the darkest of times, change is possible.
It makes you wonder if that's part of what makes it so enduring.
Absolutely.
It's a story that continues to inspire people facing their own challenges, their own struggles for justice and equality. Whether we view it as a literal historical account or a powerful allegory. The story of the 10 plagues of Egypt offers us a lens through which to examine our own lives, our own beliefs, and our own role in the ongoing struggle for a better world.
It's a story that asks us to look inward and examine our own capacity for compassion, for courage, and for change.
So, to wrap up, we've delved into the dramatic plagues.
We have.
Unpacked the symbolism of the Passover and traced the journey of the Israelites from slavery to liberation.
It's a story that has resonated for millennia.
It has.
And as we've discussed, it continues to speak to us today.
But I think you have one final thought-provoking question.
I do.
For our listeners.
Okay.
Before we finish up this deep dive.
All right, lay it on me.
This story, born in the mists of ancient history, continues to be told and retold across cultures and generations. It's been adapted, reinterpreted, and analyzed countless times.
So here's the question I want you to ponder.
Okay, what is it?
What do you think accounts for its enduring power and relevance?
That's a great question.
What is it about this story that still speaks to us today? Is it the timeless themes of oppression and liberation, the struggle between faith and doubt? Or something else entirely?
It's something to think about.
We've given you a lot to think about today.
I have.
But we want you to continue exploring this story, its interpretations, and its enduring impact on your own. This deep dive may be over.
But your journey through the 10 plagues of Egypt has just begun.
It has.